Hey, I'm Emmanuel Dean, and today in BME 350, we will be breaking down the blood flow of the heart. The heart is the most important organ in the human body. Its role is to pump blood throughout the body via the circulatory system. In doing so, the blood is able to transport nutrients and oxygen to the tissues and remove carbon dioxide and waste. The blood flow of the heart is a very intriguing phenomenon. To break it down, we'll begin by looking at the heart anatomy. The heart consists of four chambers: the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. The tricuspid valve is located on the left side of the heart between the right atrium and the right ventricle, while the mitral valve is located on the left side of the heart between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Blood flow of the heart is intended to move in one direction. These valves prevent the blood from moving back into the atria when the ventricles contract. The blood flow starts at the superior and inferior vena cava, then goes to the right atrium, tricuspid valve, right ventricle, pulmonary valve, pulmonary artery, lungs, pulmonary veins, left atrium, mitral valve, left ventricle, aortic valve, aorta, and then to the arteries. Here's the diagram of the cardiac cycle. To understand how this works, we will start at the mitral valve opening. When the mitral valve opens, the blood fills the ventricle until it reaches the end diastolic volume. This is where the ventricle has reached its capacity of blood. Then the ventricle begins to contract, which increases the pressure, causing the aortic valve opening. The blood is then injected from the ventricles into the aorta. This blood is released until the end systolic volume is reached. Then the ventricle relaxes, and then the cycle repeats. One thing to note here is that the end diastolic volume minus the end systolic volume is the stroke volume, which is the amount of blood pumped by the ventricles in each heartbeat. The average person's heart beats 60 to 100 times per minute, and when discussing the heart's blood flow, these are a few calculations to know. First, the formula of dividing the number of beats of the heart per minute gives us the heart rate. Next, the stroke volume, which is the amount of blood pumped by the ventricles in each heartbeat, can be calculated by subtracting the end systolic volume from the end diastolic volume. And lastly, the cardiac output is the amount of blood pumped by the heart throughout the circulatory system per minute, which is equal to the heart rate times the stroke volume. To conclude, we'd like to work an example problem to see how well you've been paying attention. It states, if a patient has a heart rate of 80 beats per minute and a cardiac output of 6,000 mils per minute, what is the patient's stroke volume? To solve it, well, first we have to remember the cardiac output formula, which is equal to the heart rate times the stroke volume. Next, we have to manipulate it for the stroke volume. And lastly, we plug in the values, and we see that the answer is 75 mils. Thank you so much for allowing me to teach you about how the blood is transported throughout the heart. I hope you have learned something. Until next time.